Okie dokie then. I'm using this phone tonight because I'm just presently I'm presently transferring on this. Okay. Um, I just I just filmed on that, and I'm transferring the file, and it's still got 19 minutes to go. And I'm like, oh, but I want to film now. And I'm like, I just want to. I wish to film now, and I thought, why don't I use my phone? Because I didn't want to wait 19 minutes. And so I'm using this. And what a delightful device to be able to use when I need to. It's the 1st of October 2024, and it's the evening. It's about 6:36. It's 6:36 p.m. Very quickly, please visit rexy.net, Rabinia Lane. My partner, Rabinia Lane. Actually, it's Michelle, but her profession, the name she uses professionally is Rabinia Lane. Michelle, Rabinia Lane. Please watch the video. Please watch the video that I put up, which was entitled, Do You Need Help with Reading and Writing? Do you need help with reading and writing? It's a couple of videos back. Please watch it. Yes, please watch that video. Now, in regard of reincarnation, and I was thinking about this a great deal the other day, and I've spoken about this previously already, but in regard of my relatives that have passed away, and where do I think they are now? Are your relatives that have passed, like your aunties, uncles, if your parents have passed, if your grandparents, my grandparents, my mum's dad passed in 1984, my dad's dad passed in 1983, and over the years you get the fantasy idea that they're looking over us, they're watching everything we do, and then when I started to think more deeply about things about 5 years ago or so, less than 5 years ago, really. Look, the point being is that are your loved ones watching over you all the time? And the answer is, I don't think that they are. I think, I think there's a few possibilities of what happened. Let's rule out the first possibility of the idea of non-existence, because matter cannot be destroyed. It can only be changed from one transition from one form to another. So therefore the soul is eternal. So the idea of non-existence, let's just rule that out and focus on the reincarnation cycle, which is run by the archons of this world. And so is my grandfather constantly looking over me? Okay, so let's explore those options. Now, first of all, okay, I've been thinking about this. My mum's dad was not a Christian. I know that for a fact, that my mum's dad was not a Christian. I don't know what was in his mind the day that he passed from this earth, but I certainly know that I know he wasn't a Christian. So therefore he would not have necessarily... So there's a fake heaven. Apparently there's a fake heaven because the archons will design for you what you believe in. So if you believe in Buddha, you'll get presented a certain scenario. If you believed in Muhammad, if you're a Christian, you'll see Jesus. If so on and so forth. And so there's the astral realm. Now, where is my grandfather now, my mum's dad? He was 83 when he passed. Where do I think he is now? Okay, there's a few possibilities. He could be in the astral planes. Did he figure out that this world was a matrix? I don't know what was in his mind when he passed. I don't know if he got that far. I I don't know if he did. Now the thing is, if he didn't, that means he would have went to the false light, and he would have had the life review. And either he's still in the astral planes. uh, Are your relatives floating around on clouds, wondering how you're doing every other 5 minutes? No, because they're doing their own thing. I think occasionally, they look you up. I think occasionally they're looking on you. I think occasionally, but for the most part, they're doing their own thing in the astral realms. They're doing their very own thing. Life continues on. They're doing their own thing. They're doing other things. And the thing is that when they say, oh, all your relatives are going to be there when you pass on, all your relatives are going to be there to greet you and do the life review. So all your relatives that have passed, friends and relatives that have passed, are going to wait around just for you. That's a huge generational thing. That's like take 50 to 100 years, because time doesn't exist on the other side, which makes that a very interesting thing in itself. Is this going to help better if I put this here? Will this help? Does this help if I just hold this here? I am the light. We are our own light, actually. We are our own light. What I was going to say was, so that means that at least 20 relatives, mum, dad, cousins, friends, will be waiting around just for me. Will be waiting around just for me, so I can have my life review. And I think about when you get to the astral realm, you'd be wanting to go on and explore and do your own thing. And also, after a certain amount of time, you're expected to reincarnate. The guide will say, it's time for you to reincarnate now. The thing that I'm getting to is that, has my grandfather already been persuaded into another reincarnation? On the other side, it is said from different sources that I've videos that I've watched, different people that I've listened to speak about this subject. Right. It can be about space of about 25 to 75 Earth years. It could be like sometimes to 100 Earth years before you've got to come back down here, and the reincarnation cycle continues, and you get memory wiped. And I am trying to figure out where I think my relatives are. I think some of them are in the fake heaven. Auntie Margaret will be in the fake heaven. The heaven that she envisioned, she'll be. And I think maybe at a certain point, even if you're in that heaven, at a certain point, I think you would get approached and to say, you got to go back. You got to go back. My Uncle Tom would be in the fake heaven. My dad's dad would be in the fake heaven because he was a devout Christian. Cousin Suzanne said something weird. Auntie Margaret on her deathbed said, it's all true, everyone's there, which is a contradiction. Everyone was not a Christian. Everyone wasn't a Christian, but she said it's all true, meaning about the Jesus thing, because that's what the archons presented to her. What's what the archons presented to her, and and then she said everyone's there, meaning Joe DePaulo, Mum's dad, meaning quite a few other people who were not necessarily Christians, not Christians, but they're there. So what happens is that the majority of people, I just even want to talk about three things at once and I can't. A majority of people who haven't figured out that this is a matrix, the majority of people are going to go to the false light. They're going to do the life review, and then the guides and whatnot say, what did you think about that? And do you remember that time in 1990 when you did this act upon this person and You made them feel dreadful, really dreadful. And you know what? That's it. You've accrued karma. You know what? And you know what? You got to go back. You got to go back. You got to do it again. You got to go back. And so they memory wipe you, and you get sent back here. I'm not coming back. I'm never coming back to Earth. I'm not coming back to Earth. But I think that I think all of my relatives, half of them are in the fake heaven because there's a few Christians there, and the others, I don't know what they believe. I don't know what was in their minds. Maybe a couple of my relatives figured out that we're living in a matrix and about the archons. Maybe they did. But the internet wasn't around then, and even I know relatives of mine now that probably they don't go on the internet. They're of that older generation, they don't go on the internet. So where would they be? Exploring the realms within the matrix, exploring the astral realms. And I'm quite tempted to do so myself. I have a conflict, and my conflict is that when I pass from here, is to go into the false light. My life review, I think, well, I'm writing down all my life events now. I'm writing down all the situations I've been in, how I feel about them, all the embarrassing, all the embarrassing ones, all the awkward ones, even all the good ones. I'm writing them down. I'm facing them. I'm dealing with them. I'm dealing with them. So when I get to life review, I'll be like, yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good. And they're going to have very, very little on me. I'm not coming back to Earth. I'm not coming back to it. So if you're not, because the other side is not Christian orientated, it's not Christian based. There are, I think, 11 levels. I think there's 11 levels. And basically, you can really do what you want. But if you go into the false light, see, the thing is, because you can question them. You can say, what is your intention? Let me think for a moment. And yes, this is true. I've gotten some of this from Howdy Makovsky. From Howdy Makovsky. He has some great podcasts, and also Jeff Murray has some great podcasts as well. Although many of the people who speak, Darius J. Wright is a different one. He actually sort of is into the astral. He's sort of, his point of view is, yes, you can go to the astral, and then after a certain amount of time passes, you might want to come back for another experience. The thing is, I don't want to come back for another experience. I don't want to come back to Earth. I'm never returning to Earth. This is my most important lifetime. It's my most important lifetime. Now, how am I going for time? You're getting frustrated by me? 13 minutes, okay. Oops. The light is intact. So, when you pass, you don't have to go into the false light. You can gather yourself, focus yourself. To me, it's a bit scary because it's like, okay, going into the darkness rather than going into the false light, and going into the darkness for a while before eventually seeing the other light, the true light. Because I was actually thinking about this. I was thinking about all this yesterday, like 48 hours ago. Because how many times have I actually lived this life now? Like, how many times have I actually lived this life? Not counting other lives that I've had, because I feel like I might have lived this life. I get deja vus when I've been at this point before. How many times have I actually lived this life? And one theory that occurred to me was that perhaps each time I have gone into the false light, done the life review, hung around in the Astro for a while, been in the Astro, and then been persuaded to come back here. Now, it's I've got many interesting alternative timelines on this one because I've almost done things in this lifetime that, many of my friends and relatives. I've got to say it this way because apparently YouTube doesn't like it when you mention a certain word on here. So there's a certain thing I almost did a couple of times which my friends and family would have been very upset about, and to exit this world, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it, but I contemplated it a few times. And one of those times was in 2011, and one of those times was somewhere around 1995. And I think I've contemplated it. However, I plan on sticking around as long as I possibly can, because when you do that, you exit by your own thing, your own doing. You got to come back straight away. But I have I don't know how many times I've lived this lifetime in particular, and saying that I would maybe in the astral realm, I was saying that I'm going to get a different outcome this time. I'm going to get a different outcome this time, and each one of this lifetime that I live now, I do get maybe I do things slightly differently, or maybe they turn out so. Just in my mind, to go back and relive what I've done is exhausting. I've gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom, the experiences that I have been through. If I were to go back and do them again, yeah, I'd do things differently, but I wouldn't be the person I am today. I'd do certain things differently. I mean, look, for instance, one thing in particular, for instance, in 1994, I got persuaded into going to a job club. In the summer of 1994, my intention was to hang out with my friends at the beach and have fun, right? And they were going to the beach a couple of times a week, and I said to my friend, "Oh, I'm doing this job club." He said, "Well, you don't need a job club. What are you going to do a job club for?" And I said, "Oh, Centrelink wanted me to do a job club, right?" And so, Centrelink, you guys in Europe and America, you call it Social Security. They wanted me to do a job club. So all my January was taken up with this job club. And I talked to them during the week and on the weekends and whatnot. My friends would say, I said, "What did you do?" They said, "We went to the beach. We went to the city. We did this, we did that." And my friend said, "What, Pat, how was your week?" And I'd say, "I was in the job club." And my friend would say, "You didn't fucking need the job club." I didn't. Now, if I was to go do all that again, what I would do is I'd say, "I'm not doing a job club. I'm not doing a job club." And they'd say, "Oh, well, you don't need to be on the dole then." And you know what? I'll remove myself from that, hang out with my friends, go into the city with my resume, buy a nice pair of jeans, get a shirt, a t-shirt, go into HMV in the city, in the Sydney CBD, and go into Hoyts, put my resume in, be a bit aggressive about it, get it, and get a job and work that, and not be a part of it. By the end of it, I had convinced myself that it had been a good idea to do that job club, because it was got along with it. Most of us in the group got along with about 12 of us in there, and laugh. I actually did another job after that for another 3 weeks, and I was very immature in those days. I was, and geez, I think I only reached maturity about 4 years ago, really. And the guy who was taking the job club, he was about 55 years of age. He didn't like me very much. He wasn't overly aggressive about the fact he didn't like me, but I talked a lot, made a lot of comments. He didn't really appreciate it. And anyway, look, stuff. That's just one example of things I would do differently. differently. I am not coming back here. I'm not coming back here because if I came back here again, there's no. How much of my personality do I get to keep? There's no guarantee that I won't figure out that this is a matrix. Although, what age was I when I figured out this was about? I think it was about, well, I was 11 when I knew we weren't alone. I looked up at the stars and said, home's out there somewhere. And when I was 18, I think I was about 18, I thought, yeah, this is an illusion of some sort. We're living in a matrix. What if this is just a game? And then I figured it all out pretty early and then got distracted by Christianity, heavily distracted by Christianity, which held me up for a while with things. But um, where are my relatives at the moment? In the astral somewhere, I think. Have any of my relatives, and when they get to the other side, do they get told that? Do they realise that when people pass the other side who didn't realise that this was a matrix on this side, when they pass, like Christians for instance, when they pass the other side, do they eventually realise, oh, it's a matrix? This is just a matrix. And also that hell doesn't exist. Hell doesn't exist. I had fear of that for a long time. Last time I had fear of hell was 2014. Well, the last things of Christianity were still lingering around me, and I had genuine fear of hell. And it took me a while to overcome that through a lot of thinking, watching a lot of videos, reading a few books, mainly digesting things for myself and just doing a lot of personal thinking. And I thought there was a hell. When did I stop? And in about 2019, I'm like, oh, there's no hell. Hell doesn't exist. How I feel about it now, there's no hell. Hell doesn't exist. Hell is just a part of manifestations. Hell is on earth. Earth is hell. Earth is hell. But hell doesn't exist. Hell only exists if you want it to exist. But the hell doesn't exist. There is no hell. You've got the different realms inside the astral realm. The astral realm. There's different levels. People will say, "Oh, but hell does exist." No, it doesn't. Hell doesn't exist. It exists if you want it to exist, but basically there is no hell. And that doesn't concern me anymore because it's a matrix. We're living in a matrix, so there is no hell. Earth is hell. How certain I am of it? She is 99.9999%. Do I know what happens when we pass on? Not certain, but I'm 99% certain of what I think happens. What I think happens. 99% certain of what I think happens. And it certainly isn't non-existence because just all the people that have ever lived on this earth, when they're passed on from here, if they just cease to exist, that's not logical. It wouldn't make any sense. It's just simply not logical. It's illogical. Because, as I said before, the answer is space and earth. Like everything around you, and look up to the sky. That's actually here. It's here. It's something. It's here. That is actually the answer. So my relatives are relatives. I think they come in. I think that on special occasions, I think they can look in on you. I think I don't think they do it all the time. They're too busy doing their own thing. They're not sitting on a harp. They're not sitting on a harp playing a harp or playing a flute. They're doing things in the astral. They're doing things. They're exploring scenarios and whatnot. They're doing things. They're doing things. And yeah, It's interesting because if it is non-existence, which I don't think it is non-existence, then you won't be upset about that because it'll be in a state of non-existence. So you won't be upset about that. You won't be able to be upset about that. But I don't think that's what happens. That's not what happens. We continue. The soul is eternal. We continue on. We're eternal immortal beings. We continue on. Um, yeah. So my grandfather Joe DiPaulo, he's either being reincarnated or he's in the astral realm somewhere. I think he's still in the astral realm somewhere. Because some people can take up 75 to 100 years to reincarnate, depending. And he'll be. I think he's. Do I think that he just? Do I think that Joe DiPaulo figured out that this was a matrix? I can't say for certain. I don't think he did. I don't think he did. He never spoke to me about one. I was 5. I was 14 when he passed. I was 14 when he passed. I didn't have those type of conversations with him. I mean, maybe he did figure it out, but I don't think that he did. I don't think he wasn't a religious person. He wasn't an atheist, but he was not a religious person. And as for my grandmother, my mum's mum, I don't know what her thoughts were. But for that generation, I think they see the light, they go into it, they have the life review, and they hang around the astral realms for a while. Oh my God, time. They hang around the astral realms for a while. How many people in the history of the world have figured out that this is Matrix and avoided the false light? I don't know. Maybe in all the history of the world, 100 people, 50 to 100 people, maybe 50 people, 100, and so the rest of the world's population they go into the light, they have the life review, and a majority of them get reincarnated pretty quickly. Now, I was at camps the other day, at Camps Centre the other day, and I was observing, I was looking around, looking everywhere. That's what I do, I look at everyone. And I'm thinking, my goodness, you'd all get reincarnated in the space of 5 minutes. All of you here, everyone here, you're all zombified, you're all tuned out, you're all zombie-like. And I think that you go into the false light, you go into the light, have your life review, get reincarnated. I just looking around these people that look half dead, look zombified, like no clue, like just. And if you ask if you went up to someone and said, "Excuse me, what do you think about this?" I'd say, "Oh, I believe in God and Jesus Christ." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, right, yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting." And what else is about believing God and Jesus Christ? That's about half them. Half. Um, yes. So uh, the uh, the astral realms, the astral realm. I'm only conflicted in the fact that I'm curious. I think in my previous lifetimes, I've been curious and I've gone into the astral and I've had the life review, and then I've had to come back. This time, I'm going to be because I'm doing my life review now. It's very confronting. It's, but I'm doing it, and so I'll be ready. I'll be ready for them. And the thing though is that just if my relatives actually went into the light, the false light, the first light that they see, um, um, I don't think some of them would have been reincarnated now. They would have been. Yeah. I wonder if any of them avoided the. I think Mum's dad didn't go straight to the light because Mum heard Joe 48 hours after he passed, or 24 hours after he passed. She heard him. He called her name out and she got freaked out. So he hadn't gone straight to the light. He was just busy saying goodbye to a few people, but then eventually went to the astral. Yeah. So he's in the astral. I don't think he's being reincarnated yet. I mean, I don't know, but he'd be doing his own thing over there. He'd be doing his own thing. I recommend listening to Howdy McCoskey, and Jeff Murray has some good stuff. And yeah. Okay, Midnight Charlie Man, Patrick. I wanted to say those few things. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. Thank you.